Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin, and Doug, what's the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, strangest thing. It's not like super strange, but back when I was a music investigator, I was investigating the MK restaurant in Chicago. And,
Burgers.
No.
Nope. The MK.
It was a pretty fancy restaurant.
Yeah,
And
they don't do burgers? Oh, they don't do burgers. Okay, go ahead.
And essentially, ASCAP was paying me to go have a dinner there and hang out for 4 hours and record all the music that was being played because apparently they hadn't paid for their music license. So we were ordering a meal and everything like that, and we decided to order some appetizers. Jill and I both like calamari, so we saw, it was oak fire grilled. Was it squid or was it octopus? One of those, and it was baby octopus is what it was. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. And I'm facing, the kitchen. So I see the guy coming out, and this isn't breaded and fried. This is like straight up octopus that was just grilled on an oak fire grill. And I look at Jill and I go, hey, we can't blow our cover here because I was like, you have to eat this.
Look at me.
I go, listen, it's going to be okay. And they put it down in front of both of us. And I see her just be like, I go, listen, it's cool, watch. And I was like, I'm cutting into it, I'm like, I'm fucking terrified. I'm just cutting off a tentacle, and I'm like, I go, see, it's gonna be totally fine, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I ate it. One of the most delicious things I've ever had in my life.
Seriously?
It was so fucking good. And Jill tried it, and she's like, oh my god, this is so good. I'm like, this is amazing. But it straight up was just like baby octopus was just like grilled on the flames, brought out, and I was like, I like fried and breaded calamari. This is not it.
This is not what I had at Olive Garden.
This is not it. And that was early on in my my food journey. Where I was like,
and now you've tamed it down, I would say.
I've done a lot more,
If you were in the same position now, how would you react to that?
Well, I mean, I'd be excited. I'd be like, okay, all right.
You would be.
Because the thing is, like, when you look at a tentacled monster like that, sometimes it's arousing, depending on your mood and your preferences. But
sure,
when you're looking to eat, you're like, this looks fucked up, man. Like, where's the presentation here? How are we gonna? It's like, come on, you know what this is? What do you want me to do? Stick an edible flower in the tip, in it, or an umbrella? Cocktail umbrella, like, what do you want from me? So But after trying that, I mean, that really was like a huge barrier for me, where I was like, dude, like, the way you prep this food is huge. Like, it's very, very, it's a very big deal. So would I be like pumped to order it again? Now that I've tasted it, if it's cooked the exact same way, I'd be like, yes, give me some of that. But whew, boy, it was
It was a thing at the time.
It was a weird thing. How about you? What's one of the weirdest things you've ever eaten?
I don't think I can't recall eating anything super bizarre. Milos, when we lived together, used to bring home a lot of, when he would go to his family parties for like Easter or Christmas, he would bring home some meats that were questionable. Like, he said they were something, but I'm like, are these what you say they are? Because I don't know, Serbians. So I'm just saying.
What's that?
So I don't know. I don't know what I've eaten from what he's brought home. But you know what? All of it was fucking delicious. It was legit as shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely legit.
And Milos has his own fucking pizza place. So, shout out to him.
So, if you're in Chicago, Paper Plane Pizza, or Milwaukee, go check them out. Paper Plane Pizza.
That's right.
I feel like there's something weirder. Have you ever eaten Braunschweiger, like liver paste?
No.
Is that?
Pretty sure you just made up that word. Braunschweiger.
Yeah, Braunschweiger is the food. Yeah,
Brunenwager is what I've had.
Smoked and soft and spreadable sausage, usually made from raw minced pork with spiced garlic, salt, and pepper.
Those ingredients sound good. The final product sounds awful. A spreadable sausage is not a technology I really would invest in. You know what I mean?
Look, it looks fucking horrible. Yeah. So sometimes made with minced beef, liver, all natural seasonings, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say this. Close your eyes, plug your nose, give it a shot, because Milos, again, turned me on to Braunschweiger, and I was like, I have never independently gone out and bought it. Mm-hmm. But when he had it, and he was like, dude, you want some Braunschweiger? I'm like, yeah, I could eat.
Now, I've had Kuhnenvögel, which was delicious. Absolutely delicious.
Yeah, what is Kuhnenvögel?
That is a wheat paste. It's like a wheat butter.
Okay.
And it's something you put on your toast. It's weird because it's like wheat on wheat, you know? It's grain on grain, but goddamn, you know, two good things, put them together.
Like that's the German version of Vegemite.
It's actually Swedish. I thought you would pick up on that, but whatever.
Really? Okay, I'm sorry.
You know?
Sorry, your dialect was a little off.
Yeah,
now I got it.
Accent,
yeah, I got it now.
Again, you're getting 100% effort, but 65% output. That's what you're going to get. So... The Kuhnenvögel, you know, and it's a wheat spreadable paste, you know.
I don't know if I believe you, but okay.
You know? And for the fucking gluten people out there in the celiacs, sorry, man, like, just don't do it because it'll kill you.
I don't even know. Wait, no, that's God, no.
What did you type in? Oh no! What has he done?
I typed in Kunenvuger, and it said, "Do you mean one of these things?" And one of them was KaninUnger, and I'm like, maybe. And it just brought up pictures of like dwarf rabbits, and I'm like, did Doug eat a rabbit? I was like, oh no, this took a horrible turn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So good stuff. Yeah, I was saying, better or worse? Your Brownen Schnitzel, is it better or worse than Vegemite? Your spreadable sausage.
Oh, 1,000,000% better. Vegemite is absolute, and I'm sorry, Jared, but it is absolutely disgusting.
Listen, there's better ways to get your veggies. Okay, there's better ways to get your vitamins. Fucking make a roast tomato soup, which I've done recently. Oh my god. With a goddamn amazing grilled cheese. Ugh. I made it again this weekend. I'm like, this is
I just
the fucking
saw
best.
a recipe. Someone was making a roasted red pepper soup.
I think you and Jill saw the same thing because
they did grilled cheese croutons. Did you see that one?
Yes, I think you. Because Jill sent that to me. She's like, because it was like
that looks good.
Red peppers. It was like carrots. It was garlic. It was onions. Yeah. Well, because hey, you blend this shit together. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I do my roasted tomato. It has a full red onion in it. I put that in there with some garlic.
Let me ask you an honest question.
Yeah.
Do you feel dirty buying it?
I feel gross touching it, you know, as I'm cutting it up, and I'm like, at least you're going to get fucking annihilated in the blender. You piece
Have you
of
ever
shit.
sat there and thought, I'll try just a little bite?
I've had onions before, Justin, and I don't like them.
How long has it been?
Have
you had them since? Have you had them
in the 2023 Onion Convention, Justin? What's the new thing that's out and about onions? What's new and improved?
Oh, it's a new kind of onion from Sweden called a Duvesfinger.
A Duvesfinger? Okay, tell me more about it.
Oh, it's super. The thing is, it doesn't look or taste like an onion. It looks and tastes like chocolate, but it's an onion.
What? See, now...
scientists are going out of their minds for this.
Tell you what, that's what I'm talking about. Because if me back at MK would be like, God, we got to eat these onions, and it comes out and it looks and tastes like chocolate, I'd be like, I'm in, you know?
I'm in. MK. Look, AssCat, they did nothing wrong.
Yeah, listen.
They didn't play one of your songs.
All
Don't
the
shut them down.
songs are totally not yours. It's all originals.
It's all MK originals.
It's all original music.
Yeah.
Have some back there composing it and DJing it live. It's all original.
So you're good. Can I go back?
I don't need, like, listen, I like onion flavor. I do not like the texture of onions. The texture of onions makes me want to barf.
Okay. Because I was going to say, well, okay, so you like the flavor. I guess that kind of
I like onion powder.
The question I was going to ask.
Yeah, like I definitely don't mind the flavor of it. It's the texture. Most of my issues with a lot of vegetables is texture because there's a very fibrous and very crunchy part. People are like, well, just cook them down, Doug. Just cook them down and caramelize them, and you'll like them so much. I still don't. I still don't like them.
I fully argue that changes the texture.
It changes the flavor entirely. It makes them sweeter. I understand that.
Well, not just the flavor. It changes the texture too, I think.
I get that. I still don't like it, man. There's still like a fibrousness to it that I just can't do. I want to dig into this. When you say, because we've joked about it. I don't know if we've ever really dug into this. So like when you say like a fibrous. Episode 428, Doug finally tells all about onions. I think that'll be a great title for SEO. People are like, who fucking cares what Doug thinks about onions?
We can title it anything. This is episode 428, Taylor Swift dumps Travis Kelce. And it's just talking about onions the whole time.
It'll be Taylor Swift, ... human centipede, ? In this, we'll just see what happens, you know?
Jesus Christ. So back to onions. Do you enjoy celery?
I like cooked celery in like a soup. I like it softer in a soup.
Stalk of celery, little peanut butter. No. You won't just snap it. Is it because it's fibrous like that? Like So that's so fascinating because I feel like with celery 100%, I'm like, that's got the little strands of without a doubt. I've never thought that about onions. I've never picked up on like a stringy, fibery type of texture.
There's something, like, I don't know, there's something about it, man. It's very, especially like a raw onion. It's just like, hi, hello, hi. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. And what's worse, it's like, hey, we've been minced up and put in this thing for you. Good luck picking us out. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Have you tried a water chestnut?
Oh, God, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, that for me is a texture thing. I can't do... When I was younger, my mom would cook with them I can't remember what meal she made, but every time I would get a bite of it, I was just like, God damn it.
I'd say the only onion-based thing I'm into is garlic, and that is also something that I don't just have like big chunks of garlic. I chop it up very fine. I mince it. You know what I mean? It goes in, adds a nice flavor to it. When it comes to onions, I'm like, if this thing's getting pulverized, liquefied, I'm in. Like, sign me up. I'm all for it. And I'm in. But other than that, man, like Seth sent us something today on Instagram that was like these potatoes with steak and onions. And I was like, fucking get those onions out of there. And I'm in. It's like a French onion potato. I'm like, I'm out. I don't want it.
Can't do it.
Everything about that soup sounds amazing. Big old thing of cheese on top, melted cheese. It's very beef brothy and everything like that. But also just a shitload of onions. I'm like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Goodbye. Thank you. I will do this. Very thin, very small, crispy onions I can tolerate. They're more breading than onion.
Okay, so like a haystack,
onion strings,
kind of
like onion strings and things like that.
Yeah.
Like not thick ones. I'm not talking about the blue.
You're not talking about onion rings, right?
Not onion rings.
Like haystack onions, where they're like super.
It's like they've been put through like
thin,
shred and stuff. I've had those at some barbecue restaurants, so I'm like, okay, I'm on board for this. Like I can do this. I get excited about it. But it's not like a big, thick ass onion or anything like that. I can definitely do those, but for the most part, get them out. But I was really pumped with this tomato soup because as I'm drinking it and things like that, I'm like, man, I'm getting my veggies in today. That's for fucking sure, and I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's basically tomatoes, garlic, onion, chicken stock, some tomato paste, some salt, some sugar, and that's really about it. Roasting it up, blending it up, pushing it through a mesh strainer so it's nice and silky, adding some olive oil and some shredded Parmesan on top, like, mwah, it's fucking, and then you get, the grilled cheese, Justin. The grilled cheese.
How'd you do the grilled cheese?
American cheese, Gruyere, provolone with another slice of American cheese on some sourdough. Oh, baby.
Okay.
Talk about a cheese pull. Holy shit. And my neighbor gave me a sourdough starter over the weekend.
Well, look at you.
I'm going to be trying some sourdough this week. That's for sure. I got to figure out how to...
You're going to be that guy that just talks about sourdough now.
Well, I've always been really intimidated to do the sourdough starter. It always just seems like, because it's like, you got to start it out, and then you got to empty out its poopies, and then you got to put like some more in, and then you got to empty out that poopy. So you got to do this like there's like a very scientific way to go about it. I'm like, that seems like a lot of work just to make fucking bread. I can make focaccia in a day.
Yeah,
I don't need a fucking sourdough. I don't need a starter. So I was like, I've always been like,
I don't understand the concept of a starter. I really don't. Like, because I know like
Basically,
some
it's
people are like,
wild yeast
this
is
is
what
my
it is.
great grandmother's starter. Like, and it's the same thing that, and I'm like, how's that not moldy? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's wild yeast that exists that keeps on living and everything like that.
So
you
you've
got to
go.
feed it. You got to take care of it.
You got to go hang out in the forest. Mm-hmm. You got to get into one of those hunter blinds. You sit there with a shotgun, and it's only between the months
You're gonna use
of
a shotgun, huh?
August. Okay. Well, what else are you going to use?
Well, I mean, you could use AR-15. Because people say it's fun to obliterate it with your shots.
They move.
So there's nothing
those
left.
wild yeast moves quick.
It does move quick.
You got it. If you got to spray.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to hit it on full auto and just be like,
Only between the months of October and November, though.
Yeah, you got to set up traps. You got to do like spike traps. Drive it to the trap so it falls in. But then you got to do it. Then you got to humanely go in there and bash it in the head with a hammer.
Right. And that's the thing is once you trap it, you can't look away from it, or else it consumes you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you look directly in the eye, it turns you to stone.
Right. So look like down and offset, but like keep it out of the corner, out of your peripheral. Right. That's where you want to keep it.
You gotta look at its nose, So it looks like you're looking in the eye, and it's like, why the fuck isn't this guy turning to stone? It's like, because I'm not looking you in the eye. I'm looking at your nose.
That confuse it. Yeah.
Right? It confuses it. It's like it doesn't know, and that's where you hit it in the head with a hammer.
So, all right, so someone gave you a sourdough starter.
Yeah, someone gave you a sourdough starter. So now I'm like, great, I have this thing, and it's like I got to feed it every week. I got to, I'm excited. I've got the one thing I was most concerned about was the starter. Now that I have the starter, I can make the bread because then you don't use all of the starter, you use most of it, but then you keep feeding it and it grows and keeps on going. So
I just don't understand the concept behind it. I get it. Like, I understand what you're saying. Just the concept boggles my mind. Again, the fact that some people can have like 90-year-old sourdough starter, I just don't understand that.
Yeah, for me, I'm like, hey, I'll make a focaccia bread like that. No problem. Done. I get it done in a day. No big deal. But like,
so this thing is like, like an edible gigapet, basically.
Kind of
like a Tamagotchi. Like you've got to keep feeding this thing
eat it
and
directly, but you use it to make bread.
Right.
So,
but like you've got to keep feeding it and emptying it and taking care of it. So this is something that you're never going to be done with this thing.
I mean, if you're done with it, it dies.
Just let it.
So
right.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
Bada bing.
Are you up
boom.
to the challenge?
I don't know. We'll find out. I need to set up my like regular weekly routine, like on my checklist that I do. So it's like, hey, feed the starter.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
I'll be curious to see how many. I'm sure you're going to make some really, really delicious loaves of bread out of this. But I'll be curious to see how long it goes before you're like, you know what, juice ain't worth the squeeze.
I mean, I buy sourdough bread every week, so it's like.
So that's a regular rotation for you.
It could be, it just depends, because a lot of this stuff, when it comes to bread, it's just let it sit overnight, and then do a stretch and fold, and then let it rest at room temperature, then throw it in the fucking oven, and then take it out of the oven, and then eat it. It's like, it's just time is really what it is, and it doesn't require a lot of maintenance. It's just like with focaccia, I'm like, I mix it all up. I let it sit for 15 minutes. I do a stretch and fold. Let it sit for 15 minutes. Do another stretch and fold. Possibly do a third one. And after that, let it sit for an hour and a half. Then I go in, I put it into its eventual vessel of them where it's going to be baked. Or if I'm making pizza dough, I shape it into the balls, and then I put it for half an hour. Same thing if I'm just making the bread. I put it in its pan, cover it, hour and a half. When it's ready, I put all the shit in it that I want to put the shit in, and I bake it, and it's done. Bada bing, bada boom, with a pipe. Here you go. We're done. That's it. And it's
easy.
Not labor intensive. It's just like you do a couple things here and there, and you just let it rise, and then you're good to go.
Right. I'm not saying making sourdough is going to be labor intensive. I'm saying keeping this starter. I'm curious to see how long that is worth it for you, because like you said, you go out and buy a loaf of sourdough every week. Obviously, it's something you eat all the time, but I'll be curious to see if you dig. You might really enjoy keeping this thing alive. Who knows? This might become
it's just
a
for
thing
me. It's
for
probably it's just timing, because I think it needs to like it needs to rest overnight and stuff like that. So it's something like you have to be prepared.
So this
to
is a
make
little bit longer. Yeah.
So like when you're
Processed
making
in
this
focaccia.
dough, it's like you got to know that you're going to be making it, So, but if I make it once a week, whatever, I think it's probably fucking worth it. You know what I mean? So
There you go.
what are you going to do?
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 Hey, I got good news. I got really
tell
good
me.
news. Hey, video game stream's coming back this week.
What?
So it's coming back this week.
Oh, wait. Here it is. Wow. I've not used this in a while.
Yeah, Justin's he's finally got it back.
I got it working again.
Yeah, baby. No game. I'm hoping to do some Escape the Backrooms. So we'll see. TBD. We found out that Justin can't play that, unfortunately.
So
I'm not
fucking bummed
surprised
about this.
I can't believe I let myself get pumped. I was like, I let myself fall into the trap of like,
I know.
we might be able to play a game. Who am I kidding? But I called it out. I was like, okay, even if you can play it, what are the odds you and I can play it together on the same system?
Yeah.
Because that happened years ago when Borderlands 2 came out. I bought you that
Yes,
game.
I
I'm like,
forgot about that.
let's do it. And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, our versions were not matched up,
not
so we couldn't join each other's
cross-platform.
game. And I'm like, of course. Of
Why
course,
not?
this is what happens. The only games you and I have been able to play are Team Fortress 2 and Tabletop Simulator. That's it.
Yep. I think did we get like 1 or 2 rounds of Portal or not? Did we ever play that together?
Play Portal? I don't remember if we played Portal at all.
I have it. I just can't access it anymore because it's 32-bit. So I can't access TF2. Can't access Portal. I can't
Honestly,
access
TF2. Not like I remember it. I loaded it up like maybe a year or two ago, and I was like, oof. Just finding a game to play, it's so cumbersome and it's clunky. Like, no, used to always joke. He's like, just play Overwatch 2. And I'm like, but this is Team Fortress 2. And I'm like, I get it. I get it now. I'm like, yeah, this isn't super fun anymore. But boy, I have fond memories of that. It's very very fun.
I should probably just clear that off my computer and free up some space.
Yeah. I mean, it's free to play, so you're not missing out if you need to re-download it again. But,
well, again, can't.
Yeah.
Because it's not 64-bit.
Won't. I think won't.
Won't.
Yes.
Tim Cook is telling me I won't play this.
He won't.
Yeah.
But this Friday,
you're coming back.
8 p.m. Central, I'm getting back into it, so this will be fun. I'm excited. Hopefully we'll be playing Escape the Backrooms. I want to find, if anything, I'll play it by myself, but I'd like to see if maybe Noah is interested in joining me for that, because I think the two of us will have some fun as we get scared, do all that fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Speaking of games, real quick story. Today, I challenged Natalie. Actually, Natalie and I played a lot of games this weekend, which was awesome. But I challenged her. I said, hey, I challenge you to play a very old video game that I used to play as a kid. She's like, okay. I was like, I challenge you to play Legend of Zelda. And she's like, all right.
Do you have that on
It's
console?
on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
So I booted up for her, and she was struggling with it. She's having a hard. And I gotta say, the controls on it are kind of sluggish. Like,
are they?
They're a bit sluggish, but she was having a hard time. Like she died a lot. And I was like, hey, it's fine. After a while, she started like getting really sad. She's like, I'm tired of starting from the same place. I'm like, hey, that's how we get better. Okay, I go, do you want me to try? Do you want me to try it? Because also, I'm like, I don't remember where the fuck anything is. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know, like, I go to a screen, I go, there's something in that bush. You have to be able to burn that bush down, and there's something there. But I was like, I don't know what it is. I just know that there's something there. We're walking at some point, I'm like, one of these walls can be blown up with a bomb, and there's a secret cavern. Don't know which one it is. Don't know what it is. I was like, I could tell you what the first level dungeon looks like from the outside. Have no idea how to get there. I know it's just like an old dead tree, and you walk in its mouth. I found the second level dungeon. Took me a while, but I fucking beat it. Really struggled with it. I realized I was at a disadvantage because as you beat a level, you get an extra heart. I'm like, I'm down a heart because I haven't beaten the first one. Also don't know what fucking item you get in the first level. Maybe that would help me here. No idea. But
it was a pan flute.
I don't think it's the flute.
No? Okay.
No, you get that later. But I found the pool, the lake that you're supposed to play the flute at, so that the water goes away, and then you go into it. But I was like, I'm just shouting this stuff as I see it. I'm like, oh yeah, if you play the flute here, this goes away. And then
and I'm sure. And you look over, Natalie's in the other room now. She's completely lost.
I'll say this much: Natalie was with me 100%. As I was trying to do
she?
dungeons,
All right.
even Jill was like engaged as I kept fucking it up. And I was like, I don't remember this being this hard when I was a kid, but I was really struggling with it. But I finally beat it, and I was like, yeah, let's go. Like, I go, okay, now I got to get dinner ready. And after like a minute, she goes, is it okay if I play a different game? I'm like, yeah, play whatever you want. That's fine. But
I love how innocent. Is it okay if like I'll keep doing this, Dad, if you want me to, but I really don't want to.
And then I came back to a spot, and I was like, oh shit, how did you get here? And I was like, oh, we got to remember this. And I died. I'm like, cool. Well, hopefully you remember how to get there, because I think this might be, I don't know. I remember at some point you got to get on a raft, and that takes you across the island. I think that's level 4. I know there's like the Lost Woods. You have to go through a certain combination to get to the other side of the Lost Woods. Don't remember how to get there. I don't know. There's all sorts of shit where I'm like, I don't remember any of this stuff, man. No idea.
Isn't it amazing though? Just how far video games have come. How much more difficult technically they are now, but how much the younger generation struggles to do the more quote unquote simplistic video games of when we were kids.
Well, it's so funny because there's something now. Some of the games are not intuitive at all.
Okay.
At all. Like there's like what? I think of Castlevania 2, where in order to progress through the game, you have to equip an item that does nothing. It's like a red gem. It does absolutely nothing. And you go to a section of the... Because Castlevania 2 is kind of like an open world thing where you go from place to place, whatever. It's not like a straight side scrolling. So you have to specifically go to like a starting area, hold this thing, activated it, right? You have it equipped. And then you crouch down in a corner for like 10 seconds. And then a whirlwind takes you away to like this dungeon. I was like, there's nothing in the game that would ever tell you that you need to do this. It just is a thing. I was
so
like,
you're running around. You might crouch down for like 2.
You wouldn't
3,
even know.
4.
Like
nothing.
Why would you like? Well, I need to be here, equip this thing, and then crouch for like 10 seconds. No, you would never think to do that. Like there's nothing in your. I was like, this is bad design. But in general, there's something about like you. In most of these games, you just put it in, you hit start, and you go, and like you can kind of figure out how to play the game. The games were insanely hard at times, but like with Zelda, you start. There's a screen. And you're like, oh, and there's like a little cave. It's like, you go in the cave. It's like, here's your wooden sword. And you're like, okay. And then you go out, you're like, all right, I gotta go kill shit. And you just like wander around and kill shit.
Yeah.
And you figure shit out. And
it was the first foray into like open world. Like it was kind of the forebearer of that.
Well, it was when I think about it, like a lot of those games were side scrollers, and platformers.
Exactly.
You know? So it was really kind of cool. Like, oh shit, like you can kind of go wherever you want, And I know there's older Atari games that kind of had that, element to it as well. But I don't think I can play those games, so I don't know. I never knew those. I know Legend of Zelda.
I mean, I feel like Zelda was, even though those ones for Atari were out there, I feel like Zelda was the one that kind of caught fire. Like Zelda has a cult following, unlike most video games.
Yeah, I agree. It's it's definitely. And nowadays, it's like, welcome to the game. Get ready for the tutorial. Are you ready to get through the tutorial? It's like, oh boy, you got to teach me how to play this game, because there's a lot of stuff
X
going
to
on.
swing from this pipe.
Right. Did you know that if you... there's all the shit that goes along with that. But I don't know. Like, I got reinvigorated playing that game again. I'm like, oh, shit, this is so much fun. I was like, I know there's a bush here that if you burn it, it leads somewhere. And I got to this part where, like, there's these 4 stone statues. I'm like, if you touch them, they move. I think one of them, there's a stairs. I go, I think it's it's the last. I'm going to do the last row in the middle. Sure enough, there was a fucking stairs there. I'm like, why is there still space for this in my brain?
Right. It's
my
like a muscle
goes,
memory
remember. I'm like, I haven't thought about this in years, probably decades. And I'm like, oh, there's something there.
It's so
Even
funny.
Jill goes, can't you move one of those rocks? I'm like, yeah, but you can't. You have to have the bracelet that gives you strength. I don't know when you get that, but...
It's so funny how that's just, like, that's logged, permanently logged in there.
Just like when she plays Super Mario Brothers 3, she's like, she goes into the Matrix, and she just knows that's her game. That's a game she poured hours into as a kid. And she just plays that shit like she played it nonstop. So she knows that game inside and out. And I'm like, I don't know, man. But it was so much fun playing that with her. And she was getting a kick out of it as I kept dying, And I was just like, we were just like into it. I was like, oh, was so close. And she's like, oh my God. Like we were having a really good time.
So really when you were dying, she was fine. But when she was dying, she was getting sad.
Yeah, but that's why I looked at her. I'm like, do you know how many times I've had to redo this dungeon? Because I keep dying.
Right.
But I was like, we can blow holes in the walls. Watch this. Nothing happens. And she'd laugh at me. I'm like, all right, maybe not this wall, but there's a wall around here that we can blow a hole into. It was very fun. It was a really good time.
It is cool to go back and see now that because I don't feel like we'd have the equivalent from when our parents were younger, right? Like where we could go back and like it'd be a board game, like what was that? What was that one? The blind date one or mystery date? It'd be like going back and playing mystery date with your mom, and you're like, okay, gross. But like this is gross. I know, but this is something that's really cool that like the kids that are growing up now have that where they can go back and we can show them this is the video games because video games are still around. Or it's video games. We were at that beginning phase of the video game era, so it's something they're overly familiar with, and we can be like, cool, this is the origin of this, and show them where it came from and what it looked like when it was in its infancy.
And it some of it can still be kind of fun for them right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a sense of that old school cool, right? Like where people are like, oh wow, this is retro.
Right. Well, she doesn't look at it and be like, oh, the graphics suck. Like she just is like, she plays the game and she's just enjoying it, because it's unique or whatever. Whereas like for me, especially if you'd be like, here's this, even when I remember as a kid, I visited some place and they had an Atari. I'm like, whoa, this is cool. Even though we had a Nintendo, I'm like, oh, this is so neat. Look at all this sort of stuff, And it was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I was just like, it was fun. It was a good time. Just hanging out with her and playing that stuff, and I was like,
I love that.
Because she's like, Dad, you want to play games? I'm like, yeah, and I have a game for you. Let me tell
Who are you talking to? Yes.
Right? Yes, absolutely. So
I often wonder if I would have been more into if my nerddom would have blossomed earlier if I was allowed to have video game systems. My mom shut that shit down. I wasn't allowed to get a video game system till I was in high school, and I got
right?
A junior high, and it was N64. And at that time, it was an older video game console already because I was in junior high in 98, 97, 98. So I think it was a couple years old already. When did N64 come out? It didn't come out in 96, did it?
I think it came out around that time because PlayStation came out around that time.
Did it come out at the same time as
I think they were pretty
PlayStation?
similar. Yeah, because I went from Super Nintendo to PlayStation.
It did. It came out in 96.
Yeah.
Okay, because so once it opened hard because I got that. Then I got a PlayStation as well. So like my video game entry happened once it opened. The floodgates definitely opened, but I didn't grow up with NES, SNES, Sega, nothing like that. So I never played Zelda. I was familiar with Mario just from going over to a friend's house, and so. Yeah, so I'm really curious because just hearing like how much Jill poured, how many hours she poured into Mario 3 and how you like geeked out over Zelda and this and that. I've always been curious like how much different my nerddom would be if I was introduced into that when I was in grade school. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting when I look back because there's still games that I pick up. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. Like Super Mario World is like my Mario game. I played that game so much on the Super Nintendo. It was one of my favorite games. I'm just like, oh yeah, let's do this. But like, just picking the stuff up again, it's extremely nostalgic. It's very fun, and it's fun to share it with Natalie. And I don't know, I look forward to playing. She goes, can we play more after dinner? I'm like, I can't tonight. They got the podcast, but we will be playing more, I promise you. So we'll have ourselves a good time. So anyway, this Friday, 8 p.m. Video game stream is coming at you.
I did something that I think you would be very into. We got invited to one of our neighbors hosts a board game night.
Ooh.
And immediately, I'm gonna tell you about this. Immediately, I thought of you. So there's a board game.
Let me try that again.
Ooh, mommy.
There we go.
Thank you. There's a board game store up here called Blue Bridge Board Games, and the owners of this, our neighbor, used to teach board games at that place. So they'd host like a monthly event where people would come in, and she would actually walk them through and teach people how to play this. And so then the idea behind Blue Bridge games is that they wanted to eventually have it be a haven or a mecca for people to come, and they would host regular gaming nights. In the back, they would just open it up, you grab a game, you get a table, and you'd have 10 tables going with 50 different people or whatever. And they realized that they couldn't do that in their store. It wasn't cost effective. So a local bar, this is the history I gained when we went to there, local bar in the area was like, well, you can do it here. And so they, for a year or two, hosted board game nights there. They just, out of the blue, cut them off. And so they were like, well, fuck it. We'll just host it at our house. So catty corner to us. Easy to get there. I walked over. Doug, they have so many board games. So many that I'm like, I think this would make Doug cream his pants a little bit. Like, they were like, oh, our board games are in here. And I went in, I was like, oh, cool. And it was at the top of this, this media console. And they were like, if you open these doors, and I opened it and it was just like full. And they're like, also that armoire. And I looked over and it's another giant one. I'm telling you, man, they must have had well over 100 board games. Like, it was bonkers. And I'm like, this is insane. First and foremost, the fact that there's that many, I mean, that's a fraction of, how many are out there. The fact that there are that many out there and people sit there and make these games. So the one that I ended up playing, because they had I think we had about 10 people show up and we split into 2 different tables. The advanced, I was at I kind of led the charge. I'm like, look, I'm going to let everyone know now, I'm a noob when it comes to board games, because these people were all like, have you seen the expansion edition of this one random game? They were fucking board game freaks, and I loved meeting every one of them. I say that with all the love in my heart.
Of course.
So I said, look, I am a noob, so I'm probably not going to play whatever this is, Mythology 7 or whatever this is. I'm like, mm-mm. And so they're like, okay, well, we can do like an easier table in here. So I went into this room while they, did the advanced game. I played, have you heard of Parks?
I don't think I have.
It is, it could be considered the sleepiest little game, but it was so much fucking fun. Basically, you hike through national park tiles, collecting memories and admiring gorgeous scenery. It is the simplest game, but for some reason, it was so fucking fun.
Those are the best games, man. Like I absolutely love those games. There was no
action or adventure. It was, you land on a tile and you collect a resource, either forest, water, sunlight, or mountains. And depending on how many of those you gather from the tiles you land on, you can buy these national parks. And that was it. That was it. And the art on the cards are beautiful. Yeah. But again, I was looking at this and I'm going, someone, as one of the more advanced people, jumped on the grenade and was like, I'll be your guide.
I'll be your DM.
Exactly. So Hannah graciously explained to us how to play this game. As she was going through the rules, they just kept going. And I'm like, someone sat there and came up with all the ins and outs to this shit. Like, it boggles my mind. And then you look at how many different board games are out there. And someone's out there imagining all of this shit, and then if-thens, and that, like, what happens if this happens? And then here, this camera gives you 2 extra points on the blah, 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 blah. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
They do it,
but
they build it, and then they test it, and then they refine it, and then they test it, and they refine it. Like, the logistics, because really at the end of the day is you got to break it down. You're like, what do you want this to be? Do you want this to be a deck builder? Do you want this to be like a resource management? Do you want this to be a game of deception? Do you want this to be a players versus the board? Like, you have to start from there and then be like, all right, what's the max number of players? What's the minimum? What's the maximum? Great. And then how does the economy work in the game? Like every game has to have some level of economy. Even if there's no actual economy, it's like there's got to be an action economy. There's got to, and then is it fun? And then you got to add the skins on top of it, right? Like, you got to add the fun art and things like that and build that into it to make it interesting and whatever. Because at the end of the day, it's like, oh, this is just a dice game, but it seems like it's more than that, but it's just a dice game, like
if you boil it down, right, exactly.
What is this? Because it sounds like what you're doing was like kind of like a Monopoly in a certain amount of ways, right? Like
it's like Monopoly meets Catan.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of
resources. You're doing this. Whatever. Like, there's some sort of resource management with it or whatever. But it's a fun, unique way of going about it. I love it.
It's so. Anyway, I was there and I was just. I referenced you 3 times. I think I was, and I almost said my podcast host. or co-host, and then I was like, no, because that opens them up to go, oh, you have a podcast? What is it? And none of these people should be subjected to what we do here.
No,
they're too good of people. They're way too good.
Everyone out there is like, hey, you got to hustle.
They're pure of heart.
You're like, you're hustle for your stuff. You got to talk about what you do, and it's like, there's some times where people just shouldn't be subjected. You know, to,
like you two, you're all way too good.
Doing step bro.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I know what you mean. Thank God I didn't say I had a podcast.
Right?
So,
hey, to all those people, just know that
you got to get your dick out
if you want to win.
No, but I definitely I reference like my friend has. I said if he was up here, he would be losing his mind right now because this is. I said he's got a basement that we call Uncle Doug's puzzle basement.
Yeah, and mine is. I met a guy who was a friend. He was the father of one of Natalie's friends, and he has literally a basement that is full of it. I'm like, there's too many games here. Like, there's just too many. He's like, these are the European games. He's like, what do you like? Do you like the European style games? Do you like? I'm like, I'm down for whatever. He's like, cool. Here's an 11-minute video that'll kind of get you up to speed on the rules. And I'm like,
Jesus Christ. But that's the thing. People who are in that, like, these people were, there legitimately is a subculture of hardcore board gamers. And that's just a straight up thing. And it's amazing. It's amazing that they all know. And they're talking about, oh, you've got the Kickstarter version, which has this extra thing, or you've got the expansion, da-da-da-da-da. Like, apparently the one we were playing, that was the Kickstarter version. And the woman who was walking us through it was like, oh, this isn't the one we have. So let me just make sure nothing's different. I'm like, this is insane that you know this.
The game that I played with that guy, like, it had upgraded tiles. He had, like, a beautiful mat that put out there for everyone to sit down. I was like, yo, dude, this is legit. He goes, I got the special edition of this. And I was like, it shows. It's pretty fun, cool, man. Like, I'm in.
There's board game, like they were talking like the Comic-Con of board games, and they were like, we went to this sure, whatever. Yeah. They were like, we went there and we had this.
I don't know if it's Gen Con, but whatever. I think it might be. Whatever.
It's just, it's a whole, and I know how much you love board games, but like this opened my eyes up to like, I knew people loved them. I didn't realize that there were people that were fanatics. And
what I've come to realize is that like, I like specific board games.
Okay.
Like, I'm not big into resource management stuff like that. That's just like, I'm like, listen, I'll do math, but I'm not here to do math to have fun. Okay.
Right.
Even though like I love D&D and shit like that. But like, the idea of like, you've got to manage all of these resources. I'm like, I'm not here to do that. Like, how long is it going to take us to set this up? 30 minutes? I'm like, I'm good. If the box is this tall and this wide, I'm like, there's too much shit in there, man. I don't want to do that.
There's too many things. I want to
keep it simple. I want to have fun, quick, fun. Let's go. And also, I know what it's like to be like, guys, you're going to love this. Bear with me as I take you through the rules. Like, I don't. That's
you've hosted a few where you've had to keep people's attention.
Where I'm like, I have to tell you the key things. The rest you will follow out. You figure out on the way. All right, but these are the key components to be successful, to get things going. Jill, especially, I'm like, here are the basics, and then we'll just go. She's like, okay, because I see her eyes glazing over. I'm like, we'll be good. And then once you play, you figure it out, and we'll play again. You'll be good to go from there. So, you got it. You got it. That's cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. We'll be going back. I don't know if I can do it at all the times that they. I think they're doing it twice a month, and that's a big commitment. Also, I don't know if I love board games that much, but wonderful people. And kudos to the people who hosted it. They made a New Year's resolution that they wanted to play through their entire collection this year, and I'm like, good for you guys. That's awesome. That's because their cupboards runneth over with board games. So
that's awesome.
That is not. Now, one thing that I will not be playing, one thing that I have no interest whatsoever, is the Microsoft Excel World Championship.
I don't see why not.
You think that'd be fun for me?
I think you'd love that. I think you'd be good at it. Why are you selling yourself short, Justin?
Because math, Doug.
It's not math.
It's
a
Excel.
tool. It's a tool that does the math for you.
Well, no, apparently it's an ESport is what it is.
I mean, see, here's the thing I never thought we'd get to. I never thought we'd get to the thing that is, what's an ESport? We have what's a sport. But now we have what's an ESport.
What's an ESport?
I've been going back and forth on this where I'm
You've been deliberating? Really?
I have, because...
How can you possibly consider this an ESport?
Because,
this is not an ESport. This is a tool.
Because I mean, yeah, but I mean, even when you get into esports, it's like, any game out there.
This isn't a game.
It is now. You're right. This isn't a game because there's money
False.
involved. You know what I mean? What this seems like is it was the Excel convention that had like a little thing tacked on that's like, hey, we're gonna do a little competition to see who can do what, and people loved it so much that they kept doing it, and it kept growing and growing and growing to the point now where they have like these straight up competitions where people have nicknames called the Annihilator and the V look up your mom or whatever. I don't know what whatever it is, but they have like branded shirts and things like that as they go out and they essentially try to do very complex problems in a certain amount of time, and they use whatever tools they have in their mind to complete the tasks at hand, and they move up in the rankings, like and they earn points, and there's even like a road to the World Championships in Las Vegas.
Yeah. So for those of you who are still playing catch up, there is a Microsoft Excel World Championship, Excel ESports for all, and the finals are in Las Vegas. It's, if you've seen, I'm blanking on what's the one big esport that everyone loses their mind over that
League of Legends.
League of Legends. Yeah. So if you guys have seen or heard of that, think of that, but like for people with pocket protectors and coming straight from accounting offices. That's who's doing this.
Don't
so
label
from their
these
website.
people like that.
I will.
Don't do
I will
that.
label like
Don't
this.
Do that.
A
That's
chance
not
to
cool.
prove your Microsoft Excel mastery, ... or just learn some more Microsoft Excel. You will be given instructions, rules for the game, and questions to answer at an increasing level of difficulty. Each game, 30 minutes. Use ifs, XLOOKUP, sum, VB, Power Query. Anything is allowed, and the strategy is up to you. The right answers move you up the bracket. So basically, you're given problems to solve. If you can, the quicker you can solve them and the more efficient you can do it, you win and you move up. That's essentially what it is. And
right.
it is.
They have some testimonials here.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I don't like a lot of them.
Lay some of your best ones on me.
One from Jason Moore says, "Never thought I'd be on ESPN before my brothers." Hey, Jason. The spelling bee is also on ESPN, so, as the good Lord says.
All right, chill your tits.
And then from Natalie Falero, signing up for the Microsoft Excel World Champion is what's called a pro gamer move.
False. I'm sorry. This is why I can't say. It's not a game. It's just not a game.
Oh my God. You know what? I take back what I said. These are a bunch of fucking nerds.
Thank you.
Michael Jarman says, the Microsoft Excel World Championship is a fantastic competition. I particularly enjoy how it has meant I've been televised on ESPN before any of my much more athletic friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Michael.
And he was a runner-up.
Yeah, which means he lost. So congrats, Michael. Way to lose.
Yeah. He's just got this smug look on his face, too.
Oh, my God. Because you know what it is? It's a fucking corporate headshot. That's what it is.
That's I've never been so stressed and so excited at the same time. I feel really bad for you. The bracket-style competition is really fun, and watching the best of the best go head-to-head was both educational and validating. I can't wait for the next one. I'm sorry. Look, we joke. We're having fun. Of course, if this is your thing, that's fucking great. Let your freak flag fly. I love it. No nerd shaming. It's all in fun. But I do not understand. I do not understand how you can get excited about this. Like, just for me, it is beyond my level of comprehension how you can like, yeah.
Like you said, everyone has their things. Some people love board games.
Some
people love sports. There's some people out there that love Excel and they want to, showcase their skills. But there's something about people, I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to shit on anybody's
Sunday.
Yeah, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum. But
Thank you.
When people are this like fervently excited about something I don't give a shit about. It's like people getting pumped about Taylor Swift where I'm like, I don't care. I'm glad that you like her, but I don't care. And this is no way the same thing as that because I don't get the, Excel World Championship stuff thrust in my face all the time. So like I will easily forget about this. I forgot about this until I looked at our topics list. I'm like, oh, right, this is a thing we're possibly going to talk about.
Right.
You know, just, I don't know, man, just when people are like, I'm looking at some of the tweets that people had about this, you know. If you're looking forward to the Grand Prix motor racing tomorrow, just remember that F1 is just a Cell reference. Hey, Paul, fuck you. You know?
This event is truly excellent.
Yeah, hey, no one likes puns. Valorant's washed. Rocket League is old as fuck. You haven't seen esports until you've watched the Excel World Championships. Bill Gillen, bring it home for NA. Okay.
And I'm sorry, you can do this, you can enjoy it, and that's absolutely fine. I vehemently disagree that this is an esport. This was 100%. I will go down scratching and biting. This is not an esport. Okay? I'm sorry. Hard stop. Not an esport.
Y'all watch college football on Saturdays. I scout IB analyst prospects at the Excel World Cup. We are not the same. You're right, liquidity. Litquidity. You're right.
This is the best esports in the world. Hype.
Yeah.
We're playing fast and loose with that term.
Yeah.
And look, if you go to their website, right? You figure it out yourself. I'm not going to give you the website, but if you go to their website, if you scroll down, you can find them on YouTube as well. You can find the 2023 finals. And Doug and I watched a little bit of it, and it is so entertaining to see how I'll say this: the analysts, or the commentators, the announcers, they're doing some heavy lifting. Okay,
I mean, how can you not? Because while it's going on, first of all, you have to have enough knowledge of Excel. Like any announcer, right? Like any commentator has to know, as they're flipping from screen to screen, going oh, well, we got the annihilator. Oh, looks like they're going the VLOOKUP route for this. Interesting. Ooh, interesting pivot table from your mom's house over here. I don't know why I said your mom's house, but whatever. It's just like
that's going to cost them a few seconds,
right? They have to go and just be like, oh, this is really. You have to be that excited about Excel. Right. To go and do this. So, listen, is tennis the same thing as football? No. Is the Microsoft World Championship the same as the Overwatch 2 Cup Finals? No. These things are not the same. So, I guess if we can call golf a sport, we can call... Because golf is the Microsoft Excel of the esports world. You know what I mean? So, I should say Microsoft Excel World Championships is the golf of the esports world. Right. I mean, you got fucking financial people being like, it's totally the golf of the esports world. For sure.
This really is. This absolutely is. Because there's people who do it at an amateur level. They sit in their cubicle and they're like, I could do that.
Yeah, right.
Look at me. I made a pivot table.
Look at that. I did it.
No, I always go back to what you say. I don't know. It's the same way they define pornography, right?
If it makes your dick hard, good for you.
It's hard to explain it, but you know it when you see it. Mm-hmm. And I see this, and I don't think esport. So sorry, that is my ruling, and that's that. If you're into it, good for you. I just think it's hysterical that it's a thing we didn't know about, and now that I do, I'm worried it's going to be in my. It's going to be in my personal
just like that,
zeitgeist.
I'm closing the tab, and I will forget about this.
Exactly. Let's strike it from the top of this so we can forget we ever...
those frozen statues in Zelda, where I know if I touch one of them, it will lead to a staircase. Right. I will not make space for that in my brain.
See, that's good. That's a very practical approach to that, Doug.
It is very practical.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical. Ask Practical Doug.
Oh.
Do you have a sound effect? There it is.
My bad. You're looking at me like, and? I'm like, I was too busy looking at other shit. My bad.
Yeah, the whole porn comment got me on a whole tangent. So
I just saw elephant-sized apes that once roamed the land mysteriously vanished. Now scientists have an answer. I'm like, huh?
King Kong?
What?
So if you've never been here, hold on. I want to put this aside. Tell me more about these
tell me what now?
elephant-sized apes. If you've never been in here for Ask Practical Doug before, Practical Doug is a small Doug inside Large Doug, and Practical Doug is, as you might have guessed, practical. He helps guide Large Doug through all of life's questions and through its quandaries, and he helps, Big Doug come out unscathed on the other side of all the questions that might otherwise be his downfall. If you want to ask Practical Doug a question, you can. On any social media, at MindGap Podcast, hashtag AskPracticalDoug, or you can join our Discord. Link in the description down below. And on our Discord, there is a channel that is dedicated to Ask Practical Doug. If we don't get one that we deem worthy, we go back to one of our favorite subreddits, Am I the Asshole? And today, we have Peaky Pie?
Peaky Pie. 4.
Nah, I like
I'm sorry, Peaky Pie 3.
Peaky Pie 3.
Peaky
4 hours ago. Peaky 4 hours ago asks, Ask Practical Doug, am I the asshole for wanting my husband to go to an MRI appointment with me instead of snowboarding with the boys? Hello, all. So I have an MRA scheduled for tomorrow. I had brain surgery in 2020, hence the need for follow-ups. And I notoriously hate these scans as I am heinously claustrophobic. I will be given benzos to help. I told my husband about this appointment weeks ago, and he decided to go on a snowboarding trip with his friend. Whoops. Turns out it's the same day. At first, he was saying, well, if you want me to be there, I'll be there. But now it's, I'm trying to work it out with my friend so I can still go snowboarding and get to your appointment. I'm kind of taken aback that he's fine with someone I don't know picking me up, taking me to get my MRI, then taking me to my 5-year-old's kindergarten to pick her up, then dropping me and the 5-year-old off at the house to fend for ourselves while I'm on a head full of Xanax. I still want him to cancel and be there for this appointment. Does that make me an asshole, Doug?
Peaky Pie, I have questions. Is it benzos or is it Xanax? Huh? Which is it? Which is it? Huh?
Are those two different things?
Benzo... I don't know what the rest of that is. Benzodiazepine? I don't think that's what it is. That might be a porn actress.
Benzodiazepines. Diazepines. Yep. So with the shorter half, they're such as Xanax.
Damn it! I'm an idiot.
There you go.
I'm the asshole.
That's
you know
fair.
what? I'm the asshole in this situation. Obviously not a doctor. Okay, so Xanax is a form of benzos. We learned
Not a
something
doctor.
today, and I'm
Yes.
sorry, Peaky Pie. That was my bad. I didn't know they
Now,
were. Okay.
are you taking the Quaaludes? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. So here's the thing. I don't think, when it comes to something like this, I don't think she's an asshole for wanting her husband to be there. She's obviously uncomfortable. Yeah. Personally, for me, and this isn't about me, I'm assuming when she says I'm kind of taken aback that he's fine with someone I don't know picking me up, I'm assuming she means taking an Uber or something. Some sort of, rideshare service to then get her and then get the child and then, come home and whatever. And I think the idea that if you are on a Xanax and maybe you're not all there, maybe you do need some help. That seems like a pretty legitimate thing to be like, hey, I need some help with this. Like, it'd be great if you were, here to help me through all this. And it's probably not exciting, but that's not the point. The point is she needs your help and she needs you to, essentially assist her as she's doing something she's terrified of. And also it's like, hey man, what if she goes through this and they, I don't know how quickly the results come back, but what if they find something, and you're out fucking snowboarding, How it seems like there's a little bit of upsides, like I get to go snowboarding with my friends, versus your partner who really just A, doesn't want to do this because it fucking sucks, and B, has to look after the kid while also being on some Xannies, and then you're like, yeah, but I'm snowboarding, and what if, I feel like, I don't feel like she's an asshole for being like, can you please cancel this? And
well, also
and be there?
told him weeks ago, and then it's the way that this is written, at least, it seems as though she told him about this weeks ago, and then he booked it.
Right. Well, I can understand. I've had, I've understood. Something like this has happened, and then if it's weeks, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm free that day. Hell, you and I do that all the time.
Absolutely. And you're
Hey,
like,
let's do this
fuck,
day.
I
And you're
forgot.
like, oh shit, I forgot. I got this thing. I got this
Yep.
thing that's going on. It totally happens. But instead of like, well, if you want me to, I'll be there. But it turned into, I'm trying to work it out so I can do both. It's like,
Right.
No. I think it should be. I don't think there's anything wrong with her to ask, like, hey, can you just nix this all together?
Yeah.
I would feel a lot more comfortable knowing that I could rely on you to help me get through this and also take care of our kid. Like, can you just find another time to do this? I'd really appreciate it.
I would also argue that, and there's a fine line because I don't have this, very similar to what is a sport or what is the ESport. I don't have a solid like delineation of when one thing takes over. Like you always want to keep a sense of self in a relationship. I think that's what makes a relationship healthy. Like where you can go and do something for you that you want to do, and be you keep your independent person, but have that in conjunction with being in a partnership with someone.
Yes.
I think that forms a very healthy relationship where there's a mutual respect. That being said, I also think when you engage in a relationship and you commit to someone and you have a child together, there is an element of sacrifice, and you signed up for this.
Yeah.
You are with this person, you have a kid together. Those responsibilities take precedence over, ripping some sweet powder with your boys.
Kicking up some sweet muff dust,
Right.
as someone told me is what they used to call it. I was like, what?
I'm sorry.
Man, kicking
Who
up some
told
muff.
you that?
A guy from Colorado who loves snowboarding. He's like, we're going out
I don't
to
think snowboarding's what he liked, but
kicking
okay.
up some muff dust. I was like, you like old ladies, huh?
I think he was into cougars, yeah.
Yeah, right. No, isn't it funny? Kind of going back to your comment on that of like, there was this idea in a relationship where like we have to do everything together,
Yeah.
or there's something wrong in our relationship, but it's like, no, that's weird that you would force someone to do something they don't like because you like to do it. Because you're like, well, I still want to spend time with you. It's like, well, let's spend time doing something else because I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Or you just go and do this on your own. Jill and I learned that early on in our relationship where she's like, I'm going to go do this. I'm like, cool. Well, I'm not going to go then. And she's like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
And it was no big deal.
Doesn't
like,
mean I don't love you or
I'm
support
going to go do
you.
this. And she's like, okay. Like, see ya. I'm like, all right, bye. And because whatever, like, because we do a lot of things together, but there's also certain things where I'm like, the idea of, it's the classic, like, I'm going to go shopping. You should come with me. I'm like, why? Why would I do that? I'm not shopping for me. Why would I go with you to shop? That doesn't make any
walk
fucking
around.
sense.
Yeah.
And hold your stuff.
Yeah.
What? Are you crazy? That's insane. If I wanted to go, that's one thing. I'm like, I don't like being in malls. I never have. I don't like shopping for anything. This fucking sucks. Why would I come with you? I could be doing anything else that I want. And there's times where it's like, hey, listen, you're going to have to bite the fucking bullet. You're going to have to come with me on whatever, like social event or whatever. I'm like, okay. Because one of the things where I'll be like, I don't want to go. She goes, I don't either. So we both have to go. And I'm like, that's, Practical Doug would argue that only one should, but whatever. I understand we got to sacrifice together on this one, where it's, we got to do it. But yeah, anyway, going back to this, agreed. Like, listen, man, your partner really needs you on this. And you gotta drop the, put the muff dust, let the muff dust rest, and go take care of your partner and your kid. So Peaky Pie, you're not the asshole.
It is decided.
Yeah. That was fun. That was exciting.
That was a good one.
Yeah. I tell you, as I go through the Reddit on that, I say there's a theme. There's a theme through a lot of the topics. Weddings and drama around weddings. Drama around in-laws.
Yep.
Or just familial things. Like wills and whatever. And then, of course, relationship sort of stuff like that, But I saw one that I thought was really interesting, but I was like, there's no way Justin and I can weigh in on this.
No?
We have no bearing. It was just this girl goes, I have small boobs. And oftentimes when I wear things, I choose not to wear a bra because it doesn't matter. And for my friend's wedding, she's really mad. She wants me to wear a bra, and I told her it doesn't matter because, like, my boobs are so small, there's no way anything's going to happen.
So the friend wanted her to wear a bra.
Yeah, for the wedding. She goes, based on the dress that you picked out, it has sleeves. There's no way anything is going to pop out or anything like that. But I don't want to wear a bra, and now she's mad at me. Am I the asshole for not wearing a bra? I'm like, I don't feel like I can really weigh in on this. So,
Yeah.
But I thought it was very entertaining to me. She's like, I got small boobs. I don't like wearing bras because it doesn't matter. What do you think? And I'm like, I'm gonna have to pass on this one.
Right. I will allow other people who are more qualified to speak on this, and I will just be a bystander.
Set 'em free. Next question.
Next question.
All right, Justin, what do you got to recommend this week?
I am going to recommend from when did this come out? Gotta double check. Oh, it did come out last year. A Good Person. It is written and directed by Zach Braff, starring Florence Pugh, Morgan Freeman, Zoe Lister-Jones, Celeste O'Connor, a bunch of other people who all did fantastic jobs. Allison is a young woman with a wonderful fiance, a blossoming career, supportive family, and friends. Her world crumbles in the blink of an eye when she survives an unimaginable tragedy emerging. So basically, tragedy strikes, her life falls apart, and it's her trying to put the pieces back together while overcoming an opioid addiction. And it sounds heavy, and it definitely has its dramatic themes, and it has it's got its all the feels moments, but it also has a lot of humor in it, and a lot of, you're like, oh, that's life, and it's really beautiful, and it can be funny while it's messy. I think this is to me, this is a really good, if you like Zach Braff, you're really going to like this. If you are unfamiliar, this is a great place to start with his work, because it is it's very, when you hear the music too, you being a Zach Braff fan, you're going to listen to this, you're going to watch this, you're going to hear the music, you're like, yep, that was Zach Braff. He, for those who don't know, is very, very particular about what songs appear in his films, and he always does a really good job at the soundtrack. So I would strongly recommend A Good Person. You can watch it on Amazon Prime.
I gotta say, like, Florence Pugh, man, what a phenomenal actor she is.
She's absolute powerhouse. I mean,
just kills it. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, really, what really sold it for
one
me
of my
is
favorites.
watching Midsummer. I was just like,
oh yeah,
dear God, does she fucking kill it in that movie? So like, she's
got. I don't know that I've seen her in a film that I have not liked. Like, she is just every film I've seen her in, she has delivered. So
she absolutely kills it. So
and it's no different in this one. The places that she goes to find these emotions, especially in this film, is just I would love to know what she pulled on, because there is some real trauma that this person goes through and has to process. And just as an actor, it fascinates me when actors talk about, like, well, this is what I tapped into to find that. I would love to know what she tapped into, because she just makes you feel it. She makes you, I'm like, yeah, she's struggling with a fucking addiction. This is tough to watch. Yeah. But yeah, it's really, really good. So strong recommend from me. Doug, what do you got?
Nice. Also in this movie is Florence Pugh, but I watched it twice now, back to back.
You have? Okay.
About to start it for the third time tonight with Jill, because she hasn't seen it yet. But Oppenheimer.
Nice.
I finally watched it. Actually, I was like, you could just buy it on Apple Movies, and I was like, I don't know, should I? Shouldn't I? I've heard it's good. Should I? And Jill's like, just fucking buy it. I'm like, all right, I'll buy it. And I started watching it, and I'm like, this is Nolan at his best, like, hands down. I love Christopher Nolan. He's one of my favorite directors. What a cast of people. There are some people in this movie where you're like, they're barely in it. I'm like, but you're like a big deal, and you're in it for like a scene, and wow, just what an ensemble of people, man. It's wild.
Someone on one of the award shows just made a joke about that, how they were amazed. They were like, it's incredible that you got Al Pacino to come in and play a pair of goggles, and just pulling in all these cameos for like one fucking line. You're right.
Right. Like, it's insane how little some of these people are. And also, it's just the way it was filmed and the way the story was told is like, it's classic. It's got like Memento vibes, as it's kind of a linear story, but also not. Like, it's very, very well done. Visually, it's phenomenal. The music is very incredible. I feel like the music is, in a lot of Nolan's films, I think the music is really like there as like an additional character, but it's really there in this one. It makes you feel unsettled. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And what a great look at a time where we're not familiar with it. The idea of the fear of communism, and how some of it's here, there, and everything like that. And not only that, this is the story of a guy who helped invent something that could destroy the world. Like, what What a story, man. Like, wow.
Right.
So, and Cillian Murphy just fucking nails it. Like, everyone does. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, he did.
It's a great movie. So if you haven't checked it out, it's a 3-hour movie that I don't feel like feels like 3 hours at all. Like it just,
that one
it
did
flies.
not. That one did. I'm currently trying to watch Killers of the Flower Moon, and I'm 45 minutes in. It's very good so far.
Yeah.
But Scorsese's movies feel like 3.5 hours to me, and I don't know why.
Scorsese's the Stephen King of the film world, where you're like, we'll get going here at some point. Like, and once you do, you're enthralled. But dear God, like getting it started. I just don't understand
why he's you're in your 80s. Like, why are you like rip through these? Like, why are you doing 3.5 hour movie? I would also say that if you have to do if you need 3.5 hours to tell your story, then it needs to be a series.
Yeah.
You need to change it over. You can do series are not TV as we used to know them. We are in a cinematic age of television or a cinematic age of series. Most series look as good at it, if not better, than most films. The level of production, the storytelling, the cinema, all of it is just, it's been heightened to a level beyond anything we ever thought we'd see in a series format. And I would say that if you need 3.5 hours to tell your film, then it needs to be told. Then take the time and really develop these characters, because that's what you want to do. You know,
if make it a limited series. You know,
yeah. So anyway,
Scorsese's above that, Justin.
Off the soapbox.
He's a movie theater guy. All right. Oh, except for fucking The Irishman. That was a Netflix movie. Yeah. So there you go.
Was something about Oppenheimer. I was gonna say. Oh, the two things. I think we talked about this when it first came out, but the two. I was amazed, and I want to know what you thought about it. Was at the detonation scene where they did the countdown.
Classic.
We all knew what happened. Like, we all know history. We all know what happens. It amazes me, even knowing what's going to happen and knowing everything is going to be fine, relatively speaking. The amount of tension that Nolan was able to build in that scene was stunning.
Again, a lot of that, I think, was just music and also sound design. Like when they set it off and there's just this, you just hear him breathing as they're watching like everything go off and whatever. It's just because you're also there's just so much. Like, he does such a good job of building tension. Like you said, we know what happens, but still we're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen?
I was on the edge of my seat until they hit that button. I was like, oh my God,
we're in a race against the Germans and all this sort of stuff and whatever, and just and what it means, and I don't know, man. It's a great fucking movie, man.
And then the other thing was just the concept of, which I never realized, that they were worried, because up until this point it was all theoretical physics, and so they were worried about, hypothetically, there's a less than zero chance,
near zero
chance, but not zero, that if we start this, because a nuclear reaction, it's based off a chain reaction, that the chain reaction might not stop, and we might just burn the.
It might ignite the atmosphere.
It might ignite the atmosphere.
Destroy the entire world.
The world will be gone.
Yeah.
Probably won't happen. And like, the fact that that's something that they were truly grappling with is just fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah. Well, the idea too of I'm sure this happens. I'm not aware of it. The idea of like, we're creating something brand new that's never been like this. This was a feat, good or bad. It was a feat to build and create this thing that did not exist. Like, this powerful tool. Like, all those people came together and they came up with the idea and they built a fucking weapon out of it. But the idea, like, this weapon didn't exist, and then it did, you know?
Well, it's the same with the Large Hadron Collider. Like, when they were smashing particles, they were trying to create that God particle. And they're like, what we're trying to do is essentially recreate a black hole. And we're like, we're pretty sure there's not enough mass to feed it.
There's a near zero chance that this will create a singularity that will that'll eat our world up. You know?
Exactly, yeah. There's not enough mass to actually make it, like, really grow. And I'm like, do you know that?
Right. Do you know
because
that?
You're trying to create a particle that doesn't exist in the natural world. Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating. But also
fascinating, but also maybe stop.
Yeah, maybe make sure you're like covering your balls when you push the on button, you know?
Run the numbers one more time. You know what? Send it to the people in the Excel World Championship.
Let the Excel
see what they say.
Do a VLOOKUP on this, crunch a pivot table, and then we'll be good to go.
There you go.
Woo. Woo! Gang, thanks for hanging out with us again for yet another week. And if you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. We appreciate you. Check out all the links in the description for our Discord, for our merch, for our Patreon. Follow us on all our social media at MindGap Podcast, and check out Justin online as well.
On Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, any place where you can find and consume quality podcasts, you can find and consume us. Like, subscribe, share, rate, review, all those things. The big one is sharing. Let people know that we're out there. It's the quickest way to help us grow, and we really appreciate it. 2east8th.com, 2east8th on all social media, loveitimprovfilm.com, loveitimprovfilm on Instagram. Follow along, because hopefully we'll be having some announcements soon.
Yay!
Nice.
Well, gang, thanks for hanging with us. Hopefully to see you for the video game stream tonight, as this is airing on Friday. So thanks to you, Justin.
And Douglas, I say to you, thank you.
And to our listeners and our viewers, thank you. And you all have a damnly... Take that back. Tap into your trauma. Have a dandy fucking week.